Hi, I'm Chastity from I Need Thee, and today I want to talk with you about my latest post that I've written called 5 Things to Remember When Teaching Your Child to Read. In this post, I talk about how it's not about the curriculum that we use and the different materials that we use, but the approach we take with whatever we're using. And so I have used a variety of different things over the past 12 years of teaching 5 of my children to read. And so I'm going to just share with you a little bit about what I do, what I've used, what I feel is actually most important when teaching your child to read. So the first thing is my 5 points. I believe that the first point is to know your child's learning style. So this kind of depends on if your kid is a learner that likes to hold things in its hands or hear things or see it visually. This can help to know when they're spelling and putting together words. Do they need things to be touchable, they can touch, putting Legos together that have letters on them, putting word tiles or letter tiles together and making words and reading them that way, or just seeing the word and memorizing it, just whole language. Or they can also listen to things and really get those sounds down. And so first of all, I think it's important to know how your child learns. The second thing that I feel like is also important is just picking a curriculum, a material, and trusting that resource. This is something that I have struggled with over the years of starting with something and then just feeling like, oh, I don't know if this is good, or I don't know how this is going to end, and realizing that if I just would have stuck with it, then we would have gotten further than what we did by switching. And I just wasn't trusting the resource, thinking there had to be something better out there, hearing all the different options, thinking that this maybe wasn't going to work, but really not giving it a try that much anyways. So just trusting that the author does know what they're doing, they've done the research, they've taken the time to write this curriculum, and just trusting that it is what you have chosen and that it's going to be best for your family, and not falling into that trap of when the newest thing comes around, going after it. It brings me on to the next point, which is being persistent. And so once you have chosen that material, you're trusting the resource, you feel like this is going to be a good fit for your child and your family, then stick with it and finish the book. So I have also found that if I don't finish it in the year, then I just carry it on to the next year. And so we kind of have gotten to where we don't really have a certain start and finish each year. We take a break, but then wherever we left off, we just start back in again so that we can make sure we get through every point that the author of that material has wanted to make with their curriculum. The fourth point that I have pointed out is being consistent. And this is more of like your time in teaching reading. So this is another thing that I have learned kind of the hard way, is not only sticking to a curriculum and the material that I'm using, but then making sure that every day we are doing something with that reading. So we are practicing our words or our sounds and just practicing reading, even just reading simple readers and being consistent with that is a huge step in teaching your child to read. And the fifth point, which is actually the most important, is just read, read, read. So from the time that your children are infants or even in the womb, you can start reading to them. And the more that you read to them, the more that they will enjoy reading. And so then just reading to them and them gaining that love of books and learning, going to the library. We listen to audiobooks a lot in the car, and some of my boys love listening to the books off of Audible. They have become children that love to read because they were read to a lot when they were smaller. And I have some older ones that I did not read to as much, and they do not like to read that well. So I can definitely see the difference of starting early and just reading often to them out loud. Now I'd like to share with you just some books that I have used over the past few years to help with reading. One thing I do is I have some cards that just have the basic letters on them and then a few of the blends. But I really just start out with teaching them the sound of every letter. So that's just a basic. Any type of letter card would work for that, so that they can just get the sound of those letters memorized. This is huge when starting to read, because then they can start sounding out the beginning of every word. A book that I used for a little while was this one called Phonics Pathway. It starts with them just learning the basic sounds and then working up to harder sounds. So this one is a good book. I would recommend this, and it does start off slow. Again, I just moved through the book as we needed. So for each letter, it kind of just has them say the first sound and then a vowel with it. So knowing the vowel sounds is important also. And then down here, as they move through the book, they become more familiar with other sounds. Here's like the TH sound, and then just practicing words with it. So that helps to get those basic sounds down in books like that. But here is the books that I've actually used for all of my children. And we just start off reading these books and going very slowly, and these are the pathway readers. So this is the first one called First Steps. And these books start out with just a very short little story. It's very simple, and we may at first just read the first or second page, and then the next day just keep adding a page or so. They're very easy to read, and they repeat the same words often, so that the child is really getting those same words. And then as the story moves on, it just starts getting a little bit more. These stories are just basic little stories. Some of them have a little life lesson about how to treat others, how to treat your family or siblings, being truthful. And so I think that's also a fun thing. And there's one or two, actually like 2 or 3 of these per grade until they get into be about 5th grade or 6th grade, and then they have just one book per grade. So then this is the second one, and so on, and it goes on from there. These have a little bit more reading to them, and again, we don't even read a whole story a day if it's too challenging for the child. I really just go off what the child is learning and how quickly they're picking it up, and not to really stress them and make them dislike reading. Another book that one of my sons enjoys reading is the McGuffey Reader. So this is also one that I have found is a little different style, but he likes it also. It has more of just your 3-letter words and the vowel sounds also. So either of these are good choices to start with. So my basic method of teaching to read is just starting early reader and slowly going through it. I do wait until after they know all the sounds of the alphabet, especially the vowel sounds also, and then we just start reading. But this is where the consistency comes in of every day reading just a little bit is better than nothing or trying to overdo it. So I hope that this has been helpful to you and encouraging in your homeschool as you're teaching your children to read. I've had with a few different children where I've gotten to a certain point where I've thought they're never going to get it. They're just not going to learn to read. What am I doing? But it does come with being consistent, sticking to something, trusting what you're using is going to work, and having patience with that child, but not getting overwhelmed and frustrated when maybe their progress doesn't go as quickly as what you would like to see it. So I hope that this is encouraging to you and helps you As you teach your child to read, you can find a few of my other resources on homeschooling at ineedthee.com. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about reading, and I would love to visit with you.